Hi, everybody. My name is Gashika Barol, and I'm running to be BPSHI's co-president for the next school year. I joined BPSHI in my freshman year because I was inspired by our mission, and I would love to have the honor of helping lead our efforts over this next school year as co-president. I have been in BPSHI, as I said, since I started going to Berkeley, which has made me quite well acquainted with our mission and our goals. In my freshman year, I was a follow-up intern through which I helped develop community-based participatory research health surveys for our patients. And I also helped to write a literature review on the analysis of barriers to healthcare accessibility amongst the Sikh South Asian community. So last year was an online year, as we all know, and I learned the importance of being versatile, and I also learned how to be adaptive. And these are traits I will bring to my role as co-president next year. Currently, I am the follow-up committee director, and I'm also a clinic volunteer. Through being a follow-up director, I have created the Bulletin Boards Project, which is a project where my committee and I create bulletin boards containing health education information, which we install in all of our gurdwaras. And this helps us have a passive impact in the gurdwara, even when we're not there. I also help to run the follow-up station at clinics, and also I've been working with my committee members to do post-clinic follow-ups with our patients. I have extensive leadership experience in working in a team through being part of the American Lung Cancer Screening Initiative in Berkeley, having led research projects, having co-led a decal, and more. I have many plans for BPSHI for the next school year. The first is to bring back Punjab Berkeley in the spring of 2023. So if you don't know, Punjab Berkeley was an online virtual benefit event in which we fundraised for the farmers' protest in India, and it was widely successful. We had guest speakers, we had guest performers, and I would really love to bring this back to Berkeley, perhaps even in person. Another really big thing I'd like to do is do some type of legislative advocacy. More specifically, I would like to vouch to make COVID and other types of public health information on government websites be available in both Punjabi and or Hindi to decrease the language barrier to healthcare accessibility. And we'd be working with Pan BPSHI to help get a resolution passed. I would also like to add a vision screening station to all of our clinics, and I would like to set up a Google Voice number to be the BPSHI phone number to call patients from when we're doing follow-ups. This was going to help protect both patient and student privacy because we use currently our own phone numbers to do patient follow-ups. Also during clinics, patients often ask us if we have a phone number that they can use to call, and so this would serve as that. Another thing I would like to help bring to life is a guest speaker series. This would be once a month. We have a guest speaker from the field of healthcare or medicine come in and give us an educational talk. And I believe this would be very helpful to all of us in our careers and beyond. I would also like to bring a Jaw for Charity event to BPSHI Berkeley, in which we would be creating care packages for unhoused folks in Berkeley. Now, we have done this before in the past, but the twist I would bring to this and to all of our events for the next year would be to include at least one incentive for audience attendance and participation in our events. So in the Jaw for Charity event, we would be having a table set up at Sproul with small bins containing things we want in the care packages. And volunteers can come and assemble a care package. And for maybe every 2 care packages, we give out 1 cup of Jaw to them. And I think this would be very helpful and spur audience engagement and participation. One last thing I'd like to do is, in order to maximize productivity and give all board members the chance to work on their projects in a team setting, I would like to dedicate 2 hours to our board meetings, with the first hour being going over the meeting agenda, and the second hour being a work session with team report outs at the end about progress that's been made and then what next steps are going to be. I have many more ideas, and these are just some. So to help me bring these ideas to life, I would appreciate it if you could vote for me to be co-president next year, and we can work together to make these happen. I'd like to thank you all for your time and consideration, and I hope you all have a great day. So, right now, to do patient follow-ups after clinics. My committee, we basically go through all of our patients from the clinic, look at which ones the doctor indicated that we need to follow up with, and then we call them using our cell phones. And it's like okay to do, but I do feel like it would be more ideal if we have one phone number, which we all use to call patients for just patient privacy reasons and for our own privacy reasons. And also during clinics, patients often ask us if we have a phone number that they can call us at. And so I found that using Google Voice, we can create one phone number, which can be accessible by all of us. And I think it would be really impactful. And yes.
All right, that is time. Kashika, thank you so much for presenting. At this point, if you can hop off the Zoom and we will admit the other person. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
All right, next up we have Grishish. Apologies for starting the recording so late, but we will do it as we can. All right. Our next individual is Gershish. Gershish, whenever you're ready, feel free to unmute and take the stage for your speech. You have 5 minutes.
Can you guys hear me properly? Just want to check for sure. Okay, for sure. So I'll go ahead and get started. So hi, everyone. For those of you who don't personally know me, my name is Gershish, and I'm running to be one of BPSHI's co-presidents for the next year. I'm currently a 3rd year studying public health, and I'm really passionate about BPSHI and its mission. So first off, I just want to kind of go through and just talk about how I've been involved with BPSHI in the past. So I was inspired to join BPSHI after seeing like other chapters of BPSHI hold clinics at my local Gurdwara. And as a result, I joined BPSHI my first semester here at Cal, and I was an intern for the Health Ed Committee. And then my spring semester of freshman year, I was an intern on the Community Outreach Committee. And then for my sophomore year, I was an intern for a little bit for the Health Ed Committee again, and then I became the Health Ed Director for the majority of the year. And then this past year, I've been the Internal Community Outreach Director. And I believe these experiences really grew my passion for BPSHI and allowed me to take on like a diverse set of roles within the organization. Not only do I have a strong background in preparing resources for clinics and holding events for our Sanghas, but I also gained a strong understanding in maintaining community within BPSHI. And I think this diversity of experience will really help me if elected as co-president, because I can help strengthen BPSHI for both the community we serve and our internal community. And then next, I just would like to talk about the ideas that I have, some that I'd like to implement as co-president. So I have 2 main ideas for increasing BPSHI's outreach. The first is we could reach out to local manders, masjids, etc., to see how BPSHI can get involved there and offer a health screening services or resources to them. I think this could really help broaden the community of individuals who otherwise might not be receiving our services. And then I think it'd also be great if BPSHI could reach out to other organizations on campus that hold health clinics and see how we can collaborate with them, get involved, or just learn from what they do. And then my second idea would be to increase BPSHI's outreach is to collaborate with other Bay Area Punjabi organizations like our JMCs and SSAs. Both organizations have held really successful events together this year that help strengthen community, and I would love for Berkeley BPSHI to get similarly involved. Another idea I have involves keeping an ongoing database of our alumni and beginning a mentorship program. So we would pair mentors who have already graduated with current students, and they would be able to Zoom throughout the semester. This would be very similar to Big Little, but I think it'd be an amazing space for current students to get advice from someone, who was previously in their position and is now actively working or in grad school. And then third idea that I've been passionate about is creating boxes of menstrual hygiene products at the Gurdwara we serve at. When we go to clinic at the Gurdwara, we would take a box with us to be placed in the restroom, and at future clinics, we would restock and refill the boxes as needed. I think this would be a great initiative to increase access to menstrual hygiene products within the community we serve. And all in all, these are just some of the examples of the ideas I have, and I would love the opportunity to actually implement these and more ideas alongside my co. And then overall, something I just really want to highlight strongly is beyond experience and ideas. I've been extremely passionate about BPSHI since the day I joined. I absolutely love this organization. I owe many of the friends I've made and many of my best memories here at Cal to BPSHI. And most importantly, I've loved all the chances I've had to help our Sanghas, and I would absolutely love the opportunity to be co-president. I believe I've really shown my passion through my ongoing involvement with BPSHI, and I know my passion and experience will allow me to be a great choice for co-president. So thank you all so much for considering me, and I would love to answer any questions anyone may have for me.
Thank you so much, Gershish. We really appreciate it. For the next 5 minutes, if everyone can either raise their hand, unmute, or indicate in any way if you would like to ask a question for Gershish.
Okay, I have a question. What's your favorite event that you like organized as a director?
Yeah, for sure. So my sophomore year when I was health ed director, I think the main event that I helped organize was a vaccine town hall over Zoom. And what I really loved about this event was that we were able to create a presentation in Punjabi and kind of offer this resource to our Sanghas and just kind of help educate them more about vaccines, because I know that was a time that a lot of people were hesitant about receiving the vaccine. So I really love the opportunity to work with providers to kind of help people get access to that information. And then this past year, I think the main project that I really loved working on is just Big Little. I think it's been a great opportunity to kind of help people find mentors here at Cal and just organize events where they can get to know each other a lot better.
All right, Nick?
How much time and like what other time commitments do you have next semester, and like how do you feel like you can, like, how much can you allocate towards like your position?
Yeah, for sure. So just starting off, like academics wise, honestly, I've finished like my pre-health prereqs, so I'm pretty much gonna have a lighter course load next year. So academically, I won't be taking as many time-intensive classes as I have in the past year. So, and then my main extracurricular that I'm involved with is just an on-campus job as a writing tutor, but I'll be carrying on that same position next year. So I already know how much time it like takes up of my schedule, and I already kind of have it well balanced in my schedule. And then in terms of club involvements, I do intend to kind of step down or step back from my other club involvements if I get elected as co-president. So honestly, I think I have a good understanding of how much time it requires to be co-president, and I definitely think I have more than enough time to kind of accommodate that extra responsibility.
All right, does anybody else have any questions? Sweet, and I just have some general questions as well, just to make sure we can, get everything in place. So, in what specific ways do you motivate your team? How has your committee been, and what is your plan to motivate board for next year?
I think one of the best ways to kind of motivate your team is just to start off and see, what everyone's interests and kind of goals are within the committee, or what kind of projects they want to do. I think just understanding what where each person's passions lie and what they most kind of want to see in the club is a great way to motivate everyone, because you can kind of help everyone help reach those goals, or like lead the events that they want to lead. And I think also another thing that motivates the team is just like establishing just a safe environment where everyone feels that they're really respected, they're able to vocalize their opinions strong enough, and they definitely feel very comfortable. I think doing that really helps keep the team motivated.
Perfect. Does anybody have any last minute questions? I know we have less than a minute left. All right. Let's see. Gershish, do you have anything else to add before we wrap things up?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, and best of luck. And yeah, so if you want to hop off the Zoom link, we'll get started with the next one. Thank you so much for your
Okay,
time.
thank you, everyone.
All right. Sweet. I know we have a full lineup of people coming in, so we'll take another 10 seconds to take a breather, digest it a little bit, and our next up person is going to be Justine Guy. Hello, Justine. So whenever you're ready, feel free to unmute yourself. And yeah, you have 5 minutes for your speech, whenever you're ready.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Justine, and I am running for the BPSHI Co-President position this year. I'm currently a third year studying integrative biology, and I am one of the clinic coordinating directors for BPSHI. For some background, I've been in BPSHI for all of my undergrad, starting off as a clinic committee intern my freshman year, and then becoming a clinic coordinating director for my sophomore and junior year. From years of assisting the clinic planning process, I've become closely familiar with the ins and outs of BPSHI's general health screenings and have seen clinics serve as the heart of our organization. My initial motivations for joining BPSHI as a freshman were simple. I was eager to find a community at Cal where I could meet fellow students from a similar background, participate in clinical work, and finally visit Gurdwara and still be a part of my Sikh community even in college. However, being a part of BPSHI has proven to be much more than that for me. Through my position and participation as intern and clinic coordinating director, I've gotten to meet amazing peers, healthcare providers, and members of the Punjabi Sikh community whom I continue to learn from and have inspired me to work even harder to spread the mission of BPSHI, which is something I hope to work towards even more as BPSHI co-president this upcoming year. Transitioning from virtual to in-person again served as a new challenge for me and my co-director this past year. We were faced with reestablishing the clinic after more than a year, which included unprecedented obstacles, including adapting to the changing conditions of the pandemic. Although my clinic co and I were able to bring back clinics this past year, my clinic co and I were able to bring back clinics this past year, serving 4 different Gurdwara and working with the rest of BPSHI's amazing committees to ensure that our community was being served in the best way possible. It has been stressful, exciting, humbling, and very fun to join all of you at clinics this past year and see some new faces. Now, as someone running for the BPSHI co-president position for this upcoming year, I hope to bring the skills learned from my past experiences in BPSHI to grow our organization internally, creating a stronger sense of community whilst continuing to serve our Gurdwara Sangat in greater ways. For this upcoming year, I hope to see a continuation of clinics at the local Gurdwara we have been serving for years. In addition, I hope that our work with community-based research, which has been IRB approved, can be implemented at clinics so that we can begin collecting and creating more resources specific to Sangat needs. In addition to this, I would like to introduce the idea of provider panels at Gurdwara, where Punjabi-speaking doctors, nurses, and PAs can discuss their knowledge and experience working with the South Asian population's healthcare needs. This idea was actually inspired by a disparity I personally saw in access to resources with our Sangat. So on many occasions, I've gotten the amazing opportunity to talk to older Sangat members, such as a BBG I had met at Fremont Clinic. We had a great discussion regarding her concerns with controlling her blood glucose levels. However, when I handed her the relevant paperwork and paper resources, she unfortunately kindly said no and expressed her low literacy of English and Punjabi. In that moment, I did feel limited in how I could give her more information because I was merely a student and not a medical professional. Thus, I think that a provider panel can be an effective way for Sangat to be better engaged with health information and create more trust, credibility, and interest in our organization and the wellness information we spread. In addition to incorporating these panels, I hope to see greater seva being done through BPSHI by increasing our current care package project to become a regular service. This can be done by fundraising for and creating medical care backpacks with general health supplies for the unhoused population of Berkeley as a way to pay homage to BPSHI's mission. As a student-run organization on the Berkeley campus, we have done an amazing job over the years of establishing ourselves and paying homage to Bhagat Pooran Singh's legacy. Hearing our very own providers express how proud they are of our work is motivation enough to continue doing what we do. To ensure that we have a strong internal community within the club, I believe it's important to not only open our arms to non-STEM or pre-med students at Cal, but also emphasize our openness to students who may not be from a Punjabi or Sikh background. I've personally seen many students join us at clinics, but they mention how they're not members of BPSHI. And in that moment, I feel bad because I want them to feel as involved as they can as BPSHI and like feel welcome as BPSHI members. So I really want to make sure that they know they could still be members and they're part of our club. And we, at the end of the day, we do appreciate any interest and help that we get, even if you aren't a BPSHI member. But this was especially apparent to me this year. Thus, a goal of mine for this upcoming year would be to encourage everybody, regardless of their academic background or goals, to join BPSHI as a member if you're interested in the work we do, and we greatly appreciate your help. We are an organization that not only wants to serve others, but we want to ensure an inclusive, diverse, and safe community within BPSHI itself. These are just some of the ways I envision we can further grow our organization and better work towards the mission and goals of BPSHI. I hope you can all see the prospect of growth and furthering Bhagat Pooran Singh's vision through the goals I have outlined today and more. I hope we can all come together as an organization to do more seva, strive for the mission of BPSHI, and support our community as students in Berkeley. Thank you all for your time and consideration.
All right, thank you, Jocelyn. Mini round of applause from everyone. And yeah, I will open the floor up for a Q&A. If you have any questions, please raise your hand or drop it in the chat and we can read it out. Anybody?
Oh yeah, I have a question. I guess what's like the thing that you enjoy like most when you like organize clinics? Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. The thing I enjoy the most when I organize clinics would actually be, weirdly enough, giving a call to the Gurdwara, because that's when we have some regular contacts that we talk to and like we coordinate with them, and they sometimes tend to remember our names and BPSHI, but sometimes they're like, who's BPSHI? What's BPSHI? But it's just nice because it's a way to like talk to them and be like, oh yeah, we remember you, like please come back. It's nice talking to them and seeing how a lot of them do remember our clinics, and they say it's a great part of their sangat and their community, and they want us back, which is a great feeling to hear because our work is like having a positive impact on the community. So I think giving them a call is a really amazing part of planning everything and just coordinating with the Gurdwara themselves and making sure that we're there whenever they have the most sangat. Yeah, that's one of the main things. And also just coordinating with all of us internally, all the volunteers. I actually do enjoy training a lot because clinic training is like a pretty relaxed activity and we all like kind of get along and practice clinic stuff. So I think those are the two things I really enjoy.
And Nick?
How do you feel you practice Bhagat Pooran Singh Ji's teachings outside of the club, and how do you feel like you're going to implement them next semester into the club?
Yeah, great question. I think Bhagat Pooran Singh's vision was to provide overall wellness, not just in the healthcare community, but just provide seva and support for anybody and everybody. And that was part of including anybody who needed support, right? I think in my personal life, I like to make sure that I do volunteer at my local Gurdwara, Fremont Gurdwara. I have been doing that for years. That's why I love coming back to Fremont whenever we do clinics here. Outside of the Gurdwara, I think I work a lot with students and student tutoring. My family actually has a tutoring business, so I like to help students out and kind of teach them what I had to go through and give them advice. So I like that mentoring aspect, and in that way, it might not necessarily be called seva, or some may not consider that seva, and I wouldn't like necessarily call that seva, but I just think that's like some way I can support and give back to people who were in the same position I was as students, especially when you're coming to Berkeley, which is kind of intimidating, but yeah, I would say like tutoring outside of campus and yeah. Any other
All
questions?
right.
I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Or a remark. I really like the doctor panels idea. I was just wondering more about like the logistics of it. Like, would it be in addition, like on the same days that we do clinic, or what were you thinking about that?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that it would be more beneficial to have those on a different day. So we normally do around one clinic a month. So having one provider panel around in the same Gurdwara that same month, I feel like would be impactful. Not necessarily on the same day, however, maybe like the week after. But I just think that's like an effective way of the Sangat, like they can hear our name more, and BPSHI, because I know a lot of Sangat has mentioned how they remember going to clinics, but they don't necessarily remember our organization's name. And they always ask like, oh, what are you guys called again? So I think provider panels would be another addition. We could do like a week after clinic or a week before clinic. And it would be a great way to promote clinic as well. So the goal would be, I know like Dr. Desange and other providers have expressed that they're very open to acting as almost mentors. So I feel like a provider panel would be a great way to, they can just like openly have a general conversation with Sangat in Punjabi. So that a lot of these older folks who unfortunately can't, like may have low literacy or simply don't want to read resources, can kind of ask general questions or hear about some of the chronic problems we have in the South Asian community. But yeah, it's just an idea, and I hope to develop it over the next year in addition to clinic.
All right. Thank you so much, Justine, for your time. This concludes your portion, so feel free to hop off the Zoom and we will go on with the next individual. But yeah, thank you, Justine. All right. I know that has been a lot, so let's take about 10 more seconds before we let Rich Fear, our last individual, go. And we should be on track to finish kind of early. At the very end, I will release a link to the voting form. And I will also post a recording for the entire event, with the exception of Kashika's speech. I'm so sorry, y'all, but yes, you will have until 10 a.m. tomorrow to submit your voting results. I will also release a link to a folder with everyone's applications, so you're more than welcome to read those as well. But yes, all right, I'll admit Rich Veer. She'll be our last individual for the night, and yeah. All right, hello Rich Veer. You have 5 minutes. Feel free to unmute yourself, take the stage, whatever you got to do. But yes.
Sounds good. Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. All right, I'll get into it. So my name is Rajvi Vrach. I'm running to be BPSHI president. So a little bit about me. I'm currently a third year, going into my fourth year, and I'm pre-med. I'm majoring in integrative biology. So a little bit of my background in BPSHI. I first joined as an intern in my fall semester. I had known a little bit about BPSHI through my sisters, so I've gone to some clinics with like the UCLA BPSHI before, so I kind of knew about it. So when I came first year, I joined as an intern in the follow-up committee, and I worked with patient information and kind of organizing the data. I realized I was interested and really liked working with the committee, so next year I applied to be director, kind of just worked on, again, organizing the data, expanding our research initiatives and doing things like that. And this year, I am one of the co-presidents alongside Kunal. And as co-president, I worked as organizing the committees and kind of just helping them plan their events throughout the semester. And I've also continued working on our research projects. So becoming a part of BPSHI, one of the biggest things, becoming a part of the follow-up committee, but one of the biggest things I noticed was we just weren't using our data in the best way. We collect a lot of important information from our registration form, so I kind of wanted to change that. I started as a director getting an institutional review board or IRB approval, so we could actually analyze our data more legitimately than just for our own resources. So I pursued this, and I wanted to be able to expand BPSHI into higher research spaces. So this IRB was the best way to go about that. I started the process as a director, and this year I was finally able to get approval after a long, long process. But this was super exciting, and it's just opened up new avenues in our organization for research. So I'm really excited. Next year, I want to take advantage of this approval by incorporating kind of all the aspects of it and by changing our data storage platform. Right now, we're using a platform that kind of doesn't do exactly what we need it to. So I want to change us to a different platform. And this is kind of after I've been working with researchers in the field, I've kind of just seen that there's a lot of things that are lacking in our current system and ones that, you know, if we change to a better one, would just be better for our organization. One of the platforms that I've been looking into is RedCap, and one of the really cool things is that we can create profiles for each Sangat member and kind of track their health over time as they come to our clinics. This is really nice. It's just better organizationally, just for us to be able to track when members come in continuously. We obviously go 2 times a year to these gurdwaras, and we come across a lot of the same Sangat members. So it'd be really cool to be able to make sure we're tracking them accordingly. So yeah, again, this would be really rich data that we could start creating with this new platform, and with our approval, we can actually analyze it and do something with it, like publishing our findings and just creating more awareness for the issues that our Sangat faces. And also to, you know, I think there's a lot of changes that we can make. And one of the changes that I think would be really cool for clinic was just introducing more physical aspects. So I think creating like an ID system where we have physical cards for Sangat would be really cool. I think it would also just foster more connections between us and allow for kind of us to foster those relationships over time, and kind of by being more physical with our community with cards and things like that, that kind of solidify us into their lives and like us a part of their health journey. So that's just like one of the ways that I think we can improve our experience for Sangat. So yeah, for next year, I think it's really exciting. We can hold more things in person. I think we definitely want to increase our interactions with the gurdwaras. I know this semester we kind of started, we have our taste test that'll be going on. So kind of just incorporating more in-person events at the gurdwaras, which will be really fun. One of the things that I really want to do for BPSHI is like kind of work with the gurdwaras to have like a juicing station. I'm from Riverside, so we do this a lot at the Riverside Gurdwara, and it's like there's always so many people coming, and it definitely attracts a lot of people. So I think doing something active like that would be really fun, and kind of again just really allow us to push our message for healthy eating, preventative care, and all those things by having these like regular events at the Gurdwaras. Another aspect that I felt like as director and as president that I've kind of wanted to change was incorporating more information just about mental health in general with how we're kind of connecting with our Sangat. So our registration forms don't ask questions regarding mental health, which I think is definitely something that's lacking in our forms. So when I was follow-up director, I created surveys, and that was one of the things that I wanted to focus on, was asking questions about mental health and creating a more holistic check-in for our Sangat. Next year, I think it would be fun to have, I think it would be really cool and informational to have a psychiatrist or therapist present at clinic to kind of accompany the message that we want of creating more awareness for mental health and allowing Sangats to have actual physical opportunities to connect with these type of healthcare professionals that they may not have access to otherwise. Internally, I think there's a lot of ways that BPSHI can expand on campus. As a health organization, we attract a lot of pre-med, pre-health students. So I'd want to kind of increase the events that we have. This year we introduced scribing at clinics. So next year I'd want to host scribing workshops where we can teach students how to scribe so they can work as a scribe at clinics. And I think that would just be a really cool way to boost our informational aspect of our organization. And I think another cool thing, like an event we could have is like suturing workshops. I know like I've attended some things like that with AMSA, so collaborating with other organizations on campus for workshops like that would be super cool and cohesive for our organization. I'd also want to expand our panels. I think that's not something that we focused on as much this year, but I think going into next year, having panels with health professionals, med students, BPSHI alums, as well as our own providers would allow our student body to create more connections and foster connections in the organization and outside. And yeah, these are just some of the things that I've been, thinking about and envisioning for the next year, but I'd want to work with the board next year to just come up with a really great game plan for our next year and take initiative and have all these events happen. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen about why I'm running to be president.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Rajveer. I will now open the space for everyone to ask their individual questions. Yes, for about 5 minutes. So please raise your hand, drop questions in the chat. All right, the first question from Anek is, how do you feel you practice Bhagat Pooran Singh Ji's teachings outside of BPSHI, and how do you plan on implementing his teachings next semester at BPSHI?
Yeah, so I think implementing his teachings, I think one of the biggest messages that we've learned from Bhagat Pooran Singh is about, really working with our community, community-based wellness, holistic wellness. I think one of the ways that I've done that is being active with my own community at Riverside. I know during the pandemic, it was a really hard time. So one of the things that our Gurdwara did was do food drives during, a time when it was really hard for communities to get food on the table. So I think those are just some ways that I practice, working with the community, kind of coming together in times of need. And the second part was how I would bring it to the organization. Yeah, I think just kind of expanding our interactions with Sangat on campus, being more community based. I think we have a good foundation of that with our clinics, and we go 2 times a semester and they see us, but I think there's definitely ways that we can expand that. Again, just by having more active workshops, more active kind of events that we bring to the Sangat. I think resources are very essential, for circulating and for exposing our Sangats too, but I think we definitely want to amp up our more active events that we hold. So I definitely think that expanding more community events, both like at the Gurdwara, both like on campus with our BPSHI students is something I want to push for next year.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, so I had a question. You mentioned like your mental health initiatives for next year. So there's a lot of stigma surrounding mental health in the South Asian community. How do you think BPSHI can encourage our Sangat to engage with the resources that we provide at clinics?
Yeah, so again, I think the surveys was one thing that I started, and I think again having those questions being brought up to Sangat face to face are really important. They're not in our registration form, so it's not something that we're actively asking them. So with this IRB approval, it's really exciting because now we can start to circulate those surveys. And in those surveys that, we ask important questions about mental health that otherwise we really aren't asking the community. And I definitely think that with the stigma, it really is that we have to be, circulating our resources, but I think, yeah, having events and things where we can talk about them. I know we had our casteism jaw talk. So again, expanding the jaw talks that we have on campus to be more, to have providers and to just, foster more conversation. I think really the best way kind of that we can start to destigmatize mental health in our community is just, being more open about it, talking about it. And I think holding more events more events near finals time where it's de-stressing. I know one thing that we're aiming to do this year is do care packages. So I think kind of working with your community to, talk about these things, and then also kind of have those moments where it's you can de-stress and kind of, converse together. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sincere. Anybody else have any questions? All right. And then I just have one just super general question, but in what specific ways would you like to motivate your team for next year?
Wait, could you repeat the first part?
Yeah, so in what specific ways do you want to motivate your team for BPSHI for next year, if you were to get that chance?
For next year, yeah, I think there's definitely this year was definitely a teaching moment and coming back from online to in person. So I think so I think definitely for next year, I would want to work with our board to one, kind of reflect on the year that we've had. I think something different that I want to do than something that I've been kind of exposed to in my time in BPSHI is kind of working to reflect on kind of the different aspects in our committees and kind of seeing what's working, what's not working. So I think kind of working together all to kind of see the impact of each committee and kind of, being open and transparent with each other is something as a way that we can all, motivate each other to do better. And I think brainstorming together is definitely a big thing. So it's something different that I want to do than kind of the previous years of having kind of each committee come up with their own game plan versus working all together to come up with something, which I think would be much more useful and definitely more create more open avenues for new ideas to flow in to different committees and kind of create different aspects.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your presentation. And at this point, you are more than welcome to hop off the Zoom and we will conclude.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you have a good night and a good weekend.
All right. Thank you, Richard. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation. We are definitely on track to finish it. At this point in time, there are two things I need to provide to you all. So please stick on around for about like 5 to 10 minutes. The first thing is a link to all the president applications, the written ones. I will also stop the recording right now.